Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the third How Did They Do That Live of this school year. For those of you who have joined us before, you know that How Did They Do That Live is where we, the Ed Tech department, actually uplift the voices of other people in the district. And we kind of echo great things going on across the entire district so that you can kind of hear that and see that in the classroom. Today is going to be a little bit different format. We don't have other teachers or coaches presenting. Well, we've got a couple teachers and coaches presenting today, but we actually were lucky enough to get some outside vendors as well to come in and present. So I'm really excited about this, How They Do That. I think we have an exciting hour ahead of us. I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Number one, this is a live event. So it's a slightly different format than we normally present in. And what that means is a live event is you, the attendees, do not have the option to turn on your camera. So if you're trying to turn on your camera to be good students for CIPD, no worries, you can keep those off today. And additionally, there's no chat area as well. We're expecting quite a large audience for this. So instead of having the chat area, we do have a Q&A area. So you are able to post questions and those questions will go live and we will be able to answer them as we're able to. So definitely post any questions you have. And then I will share the way to get attendance at the end. So stay tuned for the attendance information. I will go over that at the end. That covers all of our housekeeping items today. So I do want to start with our agenda. I'm moving pretty quickly here because we had a jam-packed hour for you. So our first presenter today is from Microsoft Education, presenting on Make Code, and his name is Matt Douglas. He will start us off here in just a moment. From there, we will hear from CodeHS and a gentleman named Lucas, and Lucas will talk to you all about the Hour of Code modules available in CodeHS and why you might want to do Hour of Code with your students, whatever subject area you are. And then we will hear from Matthew. So we got a Matt and a Matthew. We'll hear from Matthew, our Ed Tech director, and he will talk about he'll present content on Discovery Ed for you. And then we'll hear from Andrew Johnson, who is one of our teachers. He's a computer science teacher over at Enox, and he'll talk about code.org and how you can use code.org to find a variety of different coding lessons. And then finally, we'll wrap up with Scott Nunes, who's going to share some different projects, and he'll actually do a little teaser of the December How Did They Do That Live as well. I do see one question came in about cameras. No need for your cameras today. Today, you can just sit and get. And if you do have questions, post those in the Q&A. All right, with that being said, Matt, take it away.
Great, thank you, Alexandra. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Douglas, and I work with Microsoft Education. Here to talk a little bit today about Make Code and what you can do to engage with your students, even in a remote setting. So go ahead, take a look at the first slide here. And we can go to the next one here. So Make Code, if you're not familiar, is a free open source platform for creating computer science learning experiments and getting students involved with coding. And one of the things that I think is really great about it is that it works for a wide variety of knowledge levels. It's great for students that are just learning how to code. There's block-based coding editors that allow students to have pre-configured series of code blocks, and they learn how to arrange them and kind of understand the syntax of coding language. And then as they build their confidence, they're able to actually use a full-featured JavaScript editor, or we've even recently included Python editors available for students that are ready to take that next step in their computer science journey. And one of the other things that I think is really great about it is the ability for students to take the projects that they're working on, whether that be in the physical classroom or at home, and if they'd like to continue to edit it, they have the freedom to do so. I used to work at the Microsoft Store, and we used to have these Make Code activities where students would get so excited about it, they'd want to be able to grab that URL at the end, share it with their friends, their families, or continue even tweaking on their projects after they were done concluding the scope of the original product. And it's great to see students get really excited about the learning, you know, that gamification of learning, getting them to really engage with this stuff to a point where they don't even really think about it as school. It's just a fun activity for them that they're also learning and growing with is just a really exciting thing to see. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. And there's just a brief video here that we can play. I don't know if we have audio available. Perfect.
Matt, it looks like the YouTube video doesn't want to play in the PowerPoint for some reason, and I'm not sure we've got audio going through anyway. So
Okay, no worries.
sorry about that.
That's okay. That's I'll share some websites. Actually, the Microsoft.com/makecode on the previous slide has this video hosted. This is just one video that I kind of wanted to showcase really quickly to show how some educators were using it in the classroom, but that's fine. We can just go ahead and go to the next slide. So there's a couple different components that MakeCode has. I'm not going to talk about every single tool or program that MakeCode has available, but I wanted to touch on a few that I have a little bit of experience with. And the first one is MakeCode Arcade, which is available at arcade.makecode.com. I think this is a great place to start because there's no need for any additional hardware. Students just need the ability to have an internet connection and a web browser. They'll have the best experience in Edge or Chrome, but any web browser will work. And they can develop their own games, these 2D arcade style games, and they can use either that block-based coding or Python or JavaScript to be able to build out these games. They'll be able to create their own pixel art if they'd like to, use loops if they'd like to, add scoring, add music. There's a wide variety of things that they can do. There's some pre-configured lesson plans that'll give step-by-step tutorials to students if they'd like to learn on their own, or you as an educator could also use those and have a guided lesson virtually in the classroom if you'd like to. And students get really excited about this stuff and ask, how do I do this at home if I want to play around with it more? It's a great starting off point. Students also have the ability to share the link out at the end. There's a share feature, so they can grab a URL if they'd like to share it with their parents, guardians, or friends, and it gives them the ability to continue to work on the project afterward. This is totally free, and there's no additional equipment that students need to have in order to engage with this stuff, and great for younger learners that are maybe just starting their computer science journey, but those that are a bit more well-versed with coding can still use JavaScript to be able to build something out if they want to get a little more complex with it. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is just an example of kind of a snip of what the website looks like, and this is going to look largely the same for the rest of the MakeCode tools that we'll be reviewing today. But you can see here, there's that tutorial section in the middle pane that has a few step-by-step guided tutorials. That could be self-guided, or you as an educator could use that as a guideline to create your own project that you'd like to use with your students. There are also multi-part tutorials that are rather new for more complex, maybe advanced lessons down there at the bottom. And then students have the ability to create their new projects up there at the top. Anything that they add in code, whether it be block-based or JavaScript, gets saved, and they can import existing tools, or they can save it, copy it over if they'd like to maybe modify and have a variation of their project. It's pretty flexible to do that, and then that can all be shared via URL if they would like to share it with friends and family. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. Cool. Another one we've got, relatively new for me, but I think is really neat, is Microbit. So that's available at makecode.microbit.org. And you can see right there, there's the Microbit. It has an LED screen, a light sensor, an accelerometer, a compass. There's a few other tools that are built in there. That with that circuit board, you can use things like gator clips or other kind of tools, and you can import the code in there, so students can use a wide variety of different projects and combine code. And unlike, say, something like the MakeCode Arcade, where they're doing everything in the web browser, they can have some more tactile, hands-on feedback to kind of see how their code is working and understand if there's any revisions they need to make to their code. It's a really exciting thing to see. If you go on the MakeCode website, you can see a few examples of projects that are available with Microbit. One of the most interesting ones that I saw was the ability to connect the Microbit via a few different gator clips and connect it to a banana, and essentially have students be able to use the banana as kind of a keyboard to create music. And there's a wide variety of different like toys and science experiments or radio games that you can use. All of this information is available with guided lesson plans on makecode.microbit.org. there's the actual make part where students are actually connecting the hardware or whatever tools they have physically to get the project going, and then they do all the coding for free in the online web browser, just like they would with Make Code Arcade. So something a little bit more hands-on. Students can get really creative with it. There's plenty of guided lesson plans there, but if your students want to get really creative with it, or if you're inspired and you see potential for something that you may not see in a lesson plan online, you can get really experimental with it as well. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. And then here's just an example of what the block-based coding looks like. You can see here we have the ability to program the LEDs. There's also the ability to create loops, add music if it was, say, Make Code Arcade. So for students that might just be starting their computer science journey, if they're a bit younger, I just wanted to give you all an example of what that block-based coding interface looks like. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. And then we also have, I'm not going to go into this too deep because I think we might have a presentation on this later, but kind of similar to what we had with a few of the Make Code. There's also the Minecraft Hour of Code available at code.org/Minecraft, where they can use block-based coding and see how play around and solve a few different puzzles and activities using either Alex or Steve from Minecraft. Any student that has access to a web browser can access these tools for free. One thing I really appreciated about it is that it's compatible with Immersive Reader as well. So any student that needs to follow those step-by-step guidelines or instructions, it's inclusive to everyone, regardless of what their learning or reading learning speed or reading capability is. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. And then we also have a bunch of Make Code integration with Minecraft Education Edition. Minecraft Education Edition is my absolute favorite part about working with Microsoft Education. With Make Code, there is a program called Code Connection where students can use Minecraft Education Edition, explore the world with their avatar, build out a Minecraft world, and then it connects with Code Connector so that they can actually import code if maybe they want to have an avatar, maybe they design a few loops to have some automated processes go on. There's a wide variety of different resources available here. If we go to the next slide. At minecraft.makecode.com, there's a number of tutorials and suggestions for projects that can be made. I know Minecraft can be kind of intimidating for some educators that are maybe aware of what Minecraft is, but they don't know much about how to use it. I'm not someone that really knows how to navigate Minecraft too much, but one of the really, really great things about Minecraft Education Edition and Make Code is seeing the students get really excited about their projects and start working with their peers to help them out if they're struggling with a part of their code, or helping them better understand maybe a way to optimize their code. And they have the opportunity to be the teacher, and they can actually teach you along the way how they're getting stuff done and accomplished in their Minecraft projects. I worked with a school a few months ago that used this to essentially transfer their 7 Wonders of the World paper into a guided virtual tour of each of the 7 wonders of the world, and then created signposts along the way and essentially turned their paper into that guided tour that a parent, a guardian, or a peer could go navigate. So it works really well with STEM. There are some amazing resources available with the educator community at education.minecraft.net if you're more STEM focused. But even for educators that may not have a computer science focus, I think there's a tremendous amount of versatility with Minecraft Education Edition. It works on Chromebooks now, and it works on Windows 10 devices, and it's exciting to see the students just get so engaged and enraptured with their learning. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. So I just wanted to share a few more resources. They've been on some previous slides, but if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Make Code and don't know much about it, I'd suggest getting started at microsoft.com/makecode. There's some video tutorials for the tools that we mentioned, and there's a few other pieces of hardware that integrate with Make Code. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about those, you can see that there. There are online editors where you can see how the block-based coding or the JavaScript is compiled, and there's a bunch of different project ideas, especially when we're looking at the microbit one. I would suggest taking a look at that just to see the wide variety of different things you can do with that circuit board. It's pretty fascinating. That second link, makecode.com/blog, will give you an up-to-date view of what's new in MakeCode. Like, for example, we recently came out with Python in addition to JavaScript. And then for Minecraft Education Edition, not only for the MakeCode stuff, but maybe even outside of STEM, there's a wealth of different lesson plans, pre-created rules, and a really supportive community page over at education.minecraft.net if you'd like to learn a little bit more. So thanks all for the time. Really excited to be here, and we can go on to the next presenter.
All right. Thank you, Matt, for sharing lots of great resources from Microsoft, it looks like. We've got microbits, which are great hands-on activities. We got stuff in Minecraft, which I know really blew up over the past couple years. So lots of great stuff. And just kind of as an admin little housekeeping item, you will be getting a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. So if you feel like there's some really great resources here, you didn't get a chance to jot down the link, that's okay. Tomorrow morning, after I mark attendance, I will go ahead and send this on over to you guys. All right, and there's some additional resources here as well that I believe Matthew threw in. There's a link to the MakeCode and a link to the arcade. All right, so our second presenter is going to be CodeHS with Lucas. So let's see if we can get Lucas on the line here. I don't know if one of my team members can unmute him for me. I'm not able to unmute him. And we had a little bit of a technical glitch here, so Lucas will be talking to us. He won't be able to have a webcam that he's able to share. Unfortunately, he'll be able to talk to us over the phone, however.
Yeah, I am sorry about that, guys, but I appreciate you all having me here this afternoon, and I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about how to run an hour of code with CodeHS. So if we can go to that next slide. Wonderful. Yeah, so for our agenda, we're going to quickly talk about what is an hour of code, walk through the CodeHS hour of code tutorial, and then the resources that CodeHS provides you for running an hour of code, and then we'll quickly talk through kind of how you and your students can utilize CodeHS. So if we go to our next slide, I know it's kind of been addressed, but the Hour of Code is a nationwide initiative set forth by Computer Science Education Week and Code.org to introduce millions of students to the computer science kind of arena and describe more about what computer programming is. If we can go ahead and go to our Computer Science Education Week slide. I apologize, I think via phone I'm a little bit delayed.
Yeah, I do think there is a slight delay. I am moving the slides ahead when you ask, but there's just a slight delay, I think.
Okay, I apologize. Yeah, so Computer Science Education Week is really about exposure for K-12 students to computer science, to through these Hour of Code tutorials. The goal to increase access and equity. Fun fact. CSEd Week is all about Grace Hopper and Grace Hopper's birthday. So this is not about Bill Gates. This is not about Steve Jobs or anybody like that. It's about Grace Hopper, and her birthday is December 9th, which is why Computer Science Education Week is always around the first week of December. This week, or this year, it's December 7th through the 13th. So if we go ahead and go to that next slide, this is about access, equity, and providing role models that look like our students, right? We've got Grace Hopper or Clarence Ellis or Evelyn Boyd or Miguel de Icaza. So just some different computer science, different computer programmers than some of those names that our students might be familiar with. So if we go to that next slide, we can look at some of the different computer science implementations that CodeHS offers. So level 1 would be the existing computer science teacher leading an hour of code for their existing computer science class. This could be used to introduce a new language, to try a new type of programming, or again, just further interest in the knowledge that students already have. Level 2 implementation would be that idea of hosting an hour of code for non-computer science students. So write coding for math, for science, social studies. CodeHS has activities and tutorials for all sorts of subjects. And then that idea of level 3 is running a school-wide hour of code event. This is something that I've helped teachers in the district do. This is things that you can certainly do on your own as well. Bringing in an industry speaker for an assembly or a wider online event. So if we go to, we'll skip down 2 slides and we can go ahead and look at some of the new things that CodeHS has for this year. Yeah, so new this year in 2020, we've got creating data visualization, coding for artists, or coding for litter-free streets. This is by no means all of our curriculum or all of our tutorials, but again, just some of the new and exciting things that 2020 has to offer. So there are some things on that next slide to consider before you pick a CodeHS tutorial. For instance, do students have internet access? I think in this year in particular, we are all kind of online, but CodeHS does offer some unplugged activities if that better suits your needs. Also, do you want students to have accounts or create accounts? This is, again, helps with tracking progress, helps with you assigning multiple tutorials, things like that. Another thing to think about is student interests. Do you want to do coding in art? Do you want to do visual art? Do you want to do coding in music or Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or just regular languages like JavaScript, Java, or Python? Again, do you have a class focus, right? Should your science class be doing our coding for litter-free streets or something along those lines? And then what are the abilities of those students, right? That's going to be important as well. And if we go to that next slide, we can see a graph here of some of the different tutorials based on your student grade as well as sort of experience level. So in the upper left-hand corner, we can see some of those no coding experience, lower grade level, and I think these are appropriate certainly for that 4th, 5th grade level as well. Here we see those coding in music, coding in arts, coding for litter-free communities, things like that, all the way to the lower right-hand side, those advanced AP students, 11th and 12th grade with multiple years experience who could be working on some of our virtual reality curriculum, mobile apps, React Native, math models, blockchain, etc. So, certainly a wide variety of tutorials for a wide variety of computer science experience levels. That next slide talks about our unplugged activities as well. Obviously, I think this year, the most plugged year on record, we are probably not looking for unplugged activities, but we do offer some offline options for students, right? So working with cipher wheels or our coding with Carol the dog, our cute little mascot, and those unplugged offerings, as well as coding in pixel art unplugged as well. So on that next slide, we'll see the URL that you can access and look at all of our different CodeHS tutorials. codehs.com/hour-of-code, or even better, codehs.com/HOC. So you can see, I think we have 22 tutorials this year, ranging from that 4, 5, 6 level with no computer science experience up through that 11th and 12th grade, multiple years of computer science experience opportunity there. So what does CodeHS provide for an hour of code event? We provide a lesson plan for teachers, and then the hour-long CodeHS tutorial. That tutorial is going to include examples, exercises, and then the video that kind of, one, explains our IDE, but also explains the coding that students will be using. So if we go down to our next slide, we can see that teacher guide that we provide, right? This will have discussion questions for the beginning of class, for the end of class, common areas where students get stuck, different things like that. So these lesson plans are great to have with you while your students are walking through that tutorial itself. And then for running a virtual hour of code, a teacher is going to need an account, and you can create an account at codehs.com/signup/teacher. Students do not need an account. Creating a student or having students create an account can be beneficial for progress tracking things, for your interest in assigning multiple assignments, different things like that. But they don't need an account. It is helpful for a teacher to have an account. Things to expect while your student is working. I would say you want to aim for probably 45 minutes after those beginning questions and obviously an end of class kind of Q&A, things like that. But you want to aim for 45 minutes for students to work through those tutorials. You know, this is self-paced. However, there's no, you know, regimented timeline, things like that. Some students get really into, you know, the coding and music, things like that. Litter-free streets was a ton of fun for us to do as a company as well. And then here's just some tips and tricks for when your students get stuck, right? So asking questions to help them problem solve. What can we try differently? What do you want the program to do versus what are you telling the program to do? Collaboration is difficult this year, I understand, but whenever possible, having peers collaborate with each other, or pausing that class to clarify some different things or have a potential discussion. In order to keep our presentation moving, I did touch on, that there's those discussion questions for after an hour of code. I think that's great. When students finish the hour of code, they always get a CodeHS badge and a certificate. The CodeHS hour of code URLs are always shareable. So if a student likes what they've presented, they can always share that with students, family, teachers, whatever that may be. So all of those CodeHS hour of code programs are shareable. And finally, that last slide talks about some different live workshops that that CodeHS is actually going to be providing during CSEd week. So if it just doesn't make sense for you to organize an hour of code event for you and your students, CodeHS can do that for you. You can register your class for the event at codehs.com/HOC_events. And you can see that we've got a few scheduled throughout the week, and we would absolutely love to have you. I apologize that my video is not working this afternoon, but I can be reached for questions at lucas@codehs.com, or you can email the support team at support@codehs.com. I hope that is helpful, and please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions.
All right, thank you very much, Lucas. I appreciate it. I especially like all those live webinars. I think that is going to be a really neat thing for teachers to take advantage of. So thank you for sharing that. And I do apologize for our technical difficulty here because Lucas is calling on the phone. There was a little bit of a lag. So I tried to do my best to time the slides with his presentation, but I understand it was just a little bit glitchy. So I do apologize for that. If any of you are having issues seeing this or hearing this, definitely feel free to close that link out and come back to it, and hopefully that will restore your access. We've got just a couple questions coming in here about people having trouble. With that being said, we are about halfway through and we have 3 more fabulous people that we are going to hear from. So next up is going to be our director, Matthew Ketchum. So Matthew, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you, Matt and Lucas, for presenting. I just want to share, Matt, with Microsoft Education shared about MakeCode, which is a fantastic resource. And MakeCode has MakeCode Arcade that is doing an hour of code activity. And you can even print out a game maker certificate if you do the MakeCode Arcade. So I wanted to share that out. And then Lucas from CodeHS presented their hour of code elements as well, which are fantastic. And I just wanted to share on codehs.com/hour of code, their website that's linked here in the presentation. You can actually filter by middle school, high school on that website, interdisciplinary for different subject areas, and they even have a Spanish language coding module, which I was really impressed with. So really great resources. Another great resource we have for you is right within the MCS app portal, right within Modesto City Schools. We have a free coding resource for all K-12 students and teachers. So this is Discovery Education. It's the adaptive science curriculum. And the app, as you can see on this slide, is within the MCS app portal. And you would just click on Discovery Education app in the MCS app portal. And then you're going to see a coding tile that you can just press start. So with Discovery Education, they have student guided block, HTML, and Python coding. Each unit is broken into bite-sized chunks, and they enable students to master each skill before moving on to the next. Their built-in code validation and counsel area is there to help students identify any mistakes and give them supportive feedback built right within this tool. Again, that's free for everyone. All MCS students and teachers have this access. For teachers, there is a full lesson plan with suggestions for activities and discussion points. There's worksheets to guide the students through their coding lessons. They're really engaging programming challenges. So let me show you a little bit. This is the 3 main lessons that you have within Discovery Education. Again, it's in the MCS app portal, if I haven't said that already. You have block coding, Python, and HTML, and each module has the self-paced guided learning. It also has a create button. That's a open sandbox that students can go and just explore and kind of do their own code and their own projects as they're learning. And it also has a glossary, which I really appreciate, with key vocab terms and definitions as they're learning it. We wanted to also share with you that there is so many great coding applications. The MakeCode that we saw today, the CodeHS, Discovery Education. In a moment, you're going to hear about code.org. That we wanted to make sure that we have these resources for our parents, students, teachers at all times. So really excited to announce a new area of our Student Tech Help Center website. And that website's at www.mcsforkids.com/students. You can also get to this website from any school website. You just click the Students tab at the very top and select the Tech Help Center website, so you can get to this from any school website as well. When you're on the Student Tech Help Center website, as you can see in step 1, you would just click on the App Tours tile right there. And in step 2, we now have a Coding Apps tile that we've curated with all the great resources that you're seeing today and much more. And this is what it looks like. So when you click on it, we have it curated by grade level. So we have K-6 resources, we have middle school 7, 8, and we have 9, 12 coding resources, including everything you're hearing today and more. So definitely check that resource out. Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for sharing that. And again, that was the app portal. Is that where we access the Discovery Ed? Because I don't know if you said it enough.
So to get to Discovery Ed, it's for all K-12 teachers and students, has coding modules, and it's in the MCS app portal.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure we're all clear on where to access those.
All right.
And Matthew is actually the one who put together the Student Help Center website as well. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to him for getting this prepared. He actually got it prepared for the presentation especially today. So thank you, Matthew, for putting these resources on the Student Help Center. Tons of great coding content for our students. All right, our next presenter is going to be code.org with Andrew. So Andrew, you'll have to go ahead and come off mute, and it is your turn. And I believe Andrew will be screen sharing, so we'll get a break from my slideshow presentation. All right, go ahead, Andrew.
Hello, my name's Andrew Johnson. I teach at Enox High School. I've been teaching computer programming for the last 6 years. Hey, can you see the screen okay?
Yes, it's come through. Thank you.
Thank you. So over here on the left, this is me, and I'm shaking the hands of my hero. This is Hadi Petrovi, who he started the whole shebang of code.org. And I got the privilege of meeting him a couple of summers ago at a teacher conference. So I feel the videos that, one of the videos they share in code.org is what most schools don't teach. And I've been teaching math for many years, and I like programming to math programs for my students. And I would tell them that, you know, here's something, an hour of code that you guys, I'd let them try some code, and you know, this is something you need to know for your future. And I would show them this video, what most schools don't teach, and really convicted me that, you know, I'm telling them they should take coding, and there's nothing here for them, and I need to teach coding. So I've been teaching for the last 6 years. So another great resource in all these, as all the other resources have already been shared, is simply a web page called thehourofcode.com. And this is where I have found activities to do with my students. So I did with my math students. We go for a day to the computer lab, and we let them work through these activities. So once you're here, you want to click on activities. And there's tons of resources here. I can just scroll down, and you know, you can see with my scroll bar, there's just tons to choose from. There's all kinds of stuff from all kinds of contributors. So it's nice that they have a way for you to filter things down according to the grade level that you're looking for. And so you can click on these and sort it for an age appropriate fitting for your class. And then if you want just beginners, or you maybe you want to find something for kids that are a little more comfortable with coding and logic, you have that to toggle as well. You could also select by companies who created things. And so those companies and resources already been mentioned that you'll find in here, such as CodeHS, and there's a long list here as well. There's Make School, Microsoft, and others. I think there is also so much to choose from, right? So you can filter things based on that. You can also, based on what you're using in your classroom, or you have a computer lab you guys go to, do you use tablets or devices? Then what topic? You know, you want to sort it down to a certain topic. Math, science, social studies, language arts. art, media, and music. I think they're all, there's so many now. There's so much to explore. Over the years, it's just really grown and grown. Used to be able, I kind of knew what was there, but I don't know anymore what's all there. So I'm glad there's this filtering. And if you just want to if you just want to focus on 1 hour, or you like to do some follow-up, or maybe go on a couple days. If you want to just do where you click and drag blocks. A lot of them have the feature of the blocks, or you want to, focus on. It's an older group, and so maybe they can type the code. And a lot of them have where you can toggle back and forth. So I'll just kind of showcase some of the ones that I've used and I've liked. I know one of the ones I really like is, if I go through this list again, one's called Lightbot. And I like this because it's just, so I'm still on grade 6 and 8. If you go a little higher, or let's see, I'll just put all grades because there's 2 of them. There you go. And so on any of these things, you just click on them and it gives you like a synopsis of it. And you click start, and then that opens up in a new tab. So this one's cool because it's like playing a video game. Flash is outdated now, so you're gonna have to choose a different device. So I recommend, like what's going on here, test it out yourself. Make sure that you can run it or use it. Things aren't working right. So this would, maybe this wouldn't work so much because now it's online Flash, which is outdated. Let's see if I go back. I have to scroll to the top, go to all. Some of the popular ones mentioned earlier, there's Minecraft. I think there's like 5 different kind of Minecrafts that are cool to play with. You can play as Alex or Steve. Flappy Bird's popular. I like it that there's also things that are kind of might be more interested for girls, like there's coding with Anna and Elsa. There's a Star Wars one. That one's specifically there for Matthew Ketchum. And here's a real popular one lately, this last 2 years, is a dance party. So I'll go ahead and I'll share this one. This one should work. And typically each of these activities or exercises, so there's even a part 2 now. And there's something here, I guess, for lesson planning. But typically there's probably about 10 activities to work through. And so they take you through step by step. This may take longer than usual. So they have some really cool videos. I'll just play a little bit of it.
Hi, my name is Mural Kadbi, and I'm a dancer, sophomore.
So they integrate things, integrate other, what do you want to say, fields and expertise. They show some cool videos, introduce, so here's the first activity. They give you directions, make a new cat. So you can choose a cat or a sloth. And it's really interactive for students. So choose a cat. We'll say, well, we'll place the cat here in the center, and then we'll run the code. Can't nobody tell me nothing. So already kids are hooked because, wow, I heard that song that I love. And you continue on to the next one. And they just kind of keep building on it. You can see there was blocks involved. They'll have a video to explain it. Again, you should try and go through it yourself. Explore it before you show it to your students. So this one here is introducing where you can, when you press the up, when I press the down, the cat's going to clap. Trying to clap right. There we go. Yeah. So a lot of fun activities. And I think it's pretty, it seems like a granddaddy hub of all. where, like I said, you have all these different companies contributing, not just code.org. I mean, there's some that are specific to them, but there's like every CodeHS, Minecraft, Microsoft, you name it. So just, oh, here's another one that my daughter loves this one for Moana. So there's some cool things there for girls. You might give some different, what do I want to say, opportunities, different things that kids can choose from. So, and I just want to give a shout out again for CodeHS. Those of you that are teaching in high school, we have a contract with CodeHS. And even if you're not teaching computer programming, if you're teaching math or science, it doesn't matter. English, you want to use CodeHS, contact Lucas and he can get you set up. So I think I always try to find something to catch the kids' attention. And so I like showing videos. And when I was teaching math and I wanted them to learn some code, I shared this video with them. So I'll share this video with you guys in closing, and then I'll pass the baton on to the next presenter. Thanks for your time.
Hi, I'm Leah.
And I'm Tanya.
And we're lucky enough to be studying computer science.
Hi, I'm Tanya.
We think it's terrible that 90% of schools don't teach it.
They definitely didn't offer it at my high school.
Thanks. So we're trying to make this video to show that anybody can learn. We want to get 10 million students to do the Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
The Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
The Hour of Code! How do you get him to get to the sunflower? He needs to do some action.
I got it. Hey!
And then we'll run it and see what happens.
Amazing.
There we go.
You just wrote your first program.
I wrote it?
Yeah. This is the code that you just wrote.
Very awesome.
I thought like code was like FBI hacker symbols and stuff.
A little bit of problem solving, a little bit of logic. It's like instructions.
Programming is a lot easier today. Don't just play on your phone, program it.
All right.
Awesome.
How does someone go about getting a job?
Maybe take an online class, find a class at a community college. You could get one of the best paying jobs in the world.
I think medicine's moving into the whole computer age.
Technology touches every part of our lives. If you can create technology, you can change the world.
So we're excited that you are participating in today's Hour of Code.
We just did 2 lines of code.
4 lines.
7 lines.
5 lines.
Escribir 25 líneas de código. 5 lines.
60 lines of code.
99 lines.
60 lines. 18 lines of code.
75 lines of code.
Doesn't matter how old you are.
Todos lo pueden hacer.
The Hour of Code.
Hour of Code.
The programming a code. The Hour of Code. The Hour of Code. The Hour of Code.
Whether you're a young man or a young woman, whether you live in a city or a rural area,
Everybody in this country should learn how to program a computer.
And I just completed the Hour of Code.
It's actually really easy to learn.
Girls should learn this too.
Understand that language. That's going to be the future.
Anyone can learn computer science. You can learn too.
Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, all of y'all. I'm learning.
give it a shot.
All right, thank you, Andrew. That video came through nice and clear, which was great. Thank you for sharing that. Up next, we have our final presenter of the evening, Mr. Scott Nunes. And just before we hop over to Scott, here's some resources for code.org with some of those 20-minute lessons. And Scott, go ahead and take it away.
Hey everyone, Scott Nunes, your neighborhood friendly EdTech coach, which was formerly Matthew Ketchum. Quick shout out to all the presenters. So far you've done just phenomenally with Andrew Johnson talking about Hour of Code. That's great stuff. When I was in the classroom last year, I did that. A reminder, an hour of code doesn't even need to be in one day or one sitting. It could be over a week. That's how I did it. I broke it up and talked about that. And then I also like that Andrew talked about it being cross-curricular. I used to teach ELA at the high school level, and I did minor coding with my kiddos. It's really easy. You could do block coding, JavaScript. You don't necessarily need to do Python, which is a little more challenging, but totally doable. And with things like PBL, project-based learning, you can go a little deeper. We're going to get into that. And next slide, please. And Matt, our first presenter, talked about Maker Code Arcade. That's a great program. If you look on the presentation and you look under the box coding, you're going to see an example that was spurred from that. Next month, we're going to talk about student achievement, student projects, what they've been doing. We're going to showcase their work, and here are some examples. So in that coding box, I took the hour of code, and then I gave students in the third quarter 20% of their time to work on a constructed project. It had to be related to our content area, but it had to be a passion of theirs. And this female student went ahead and coded a review game for the novel To Kill a Mockingbird. So that's what you're looking at there. And she used a program called Scratch, which is a little more in depth. So she kind of graduated from Maker Code, but that's a great spot to start. I had another student that I'll be showcasing. He went ahead and made a question and answer review game for the deep novel Night, which focuses on the tough subject of the Holocaust, and did such a great job. And what I like about these opportunities for students is you're giving them a different way to showcase their voice through these choice options. And the student that did that Minecraft game, he and his classmates went ahead and spent a lot of time, and these were some of my lower performers. It was really hard to get them to work, but not with that project. So I encourage you to go a little deeper. Some other things I'll be getting into, I mentioned PBL, project-based learning. I've had students do fundraisers, and everything should be tied to your curriculum. So I'll be showcasing how you can do that, where you're at, whether you're elementary or middle school or high school. There's a way for you to do it. Next, AR and VR, so augmented reality and virtual reality. So we would experiment in the class using a station rotation model. This could also be done digitally with the right guidance and resources. And we were able to travel to places that we couldn't. You could do this very easily right now with the Monterey Bay Aquarium and other places. There are lots of places to check out with one of our favorite district tools, Nearpod. So check out their VR experience. You could also curate a selection on YouTube as well. And probably one of my most fun things to showcase from students are games. So whenever we would read a novel, we would have some kind of summative assessment. And I felt that the standard assessments, while they were much quicker to grade and easier to grade, they really didn't provide the value I was looking for in real experience. So I developed these more intense summative projects with feedback loops built in so that students wouldn't just get to the end and the grade is finalized. They had chances to kind of level up and showcase their learning in a creative way, thus hitting the 4 C's. And there were built-in scaffolds, and the pictures you're looking at on the left and the one under game design there, those are all student created games based upon novels that we studied. And just to reiterate, coding's great. Right here I'm showcasing my business card from high school. I got started with coding and graphic design in high school, and even though I don't do that anymore, it still helps me out today. You never know where these skills are going to take you. So dig deep, get into tech. If you need help, reach out. I'm Scott Nunes. You can email me at nunes.sc, and thank you all for tuning in. MCS, you're amazing.
Thank you, Scott. And that is a wrap on our presentation today. So thank you. I want to take a moment to thank all of our fabulous presenters. I especially appreciate our vendors coming in and helping us out. Big thank you to Matt from Microsoft, and especially thank you to Lucas from CodeHS. I know that we kind of had to overcome some tech hurdles, so I appreciate Lucas's willingness to be flexible and kind of roll with the punches. So big shout out to them. Also shout out to Scott and Andrew for sharing their presentations. Big shout out to Andrew for sharing code.org. I highly encourage you to check it out. I actually find myself doing code.org activities outside my work hours because, I mean, I'm a little bit of a dork, but they are kind of fun. It's a fun way to feel accomplished and like you're learning something. So even if you don't take this on with your students quite yet, I encourage you to check it out yourselves. And then thank you to Matthew as well for sharing those Discovery Ed resources. There's a couple comments that came in that people were excited about those as well. Just a couple other housekeeping items. I did post the attendance link as an announcement. If you don't see it, make sure you click on the Q&A in the top corner, open that up. There is an attendance link for you. You can go ahead and click on that. I do need you to fill that out, and I will take the responses from that form and mark attendance tomorrow morning. Once I've marked attendance, I will send you a copy of the slide deck that we used today. I will also send you a link to the recording that we used today as well. So you'll get the full presentation, you can relive the magic, you can play it for your fellow teachers if they couldn't make it today, and then you will get the slide deck as well. So you're gonna get all the resources that we used today, because I know we threw a lot at you from all the resources across all the different presenters. There's a lot for you to dig through. So hopefully you found something interesting to you. And I think that kind of covers everything. So please take a moment to fill out the attendance. And thank you again to our fabulous presenters. And we look forward to seeing you next month if you can make it. We're doing it December 16th, same time, 3:15. And next month will be a student showcase. So we saw a little teaser of some of the stuff that Scott was doing with his students. We will also be seeing some other cool projects from other teachers. So hopefully you can join us in December, and look forward to an email from me tomorrow with all of our resources and confirming that your attendance was marked. Thank you, and I'm going to go ahead and end the event.